Democracy is dying, and this is what it looks like. This is the beginning. I don't think the province has any business appointing our head of council.
That's Stephanie MacLellan, Deputy Mayor of New Tecumseth, reacting to a Ford government bill that would let the province appoint Simcoe County's next warden, ending a 180-year-old democratic tradition.
I realize the province is consulting, but a lot of that's just, that's just a word, right? Like this is going to happen. I don't think we're going to see this walked back.
And that was Midland Mayor Bill Gordon, who called it a done deal, but the Simcoe Council isn't ready to give up. If the provincial government passes Bill 100, more than 500,000 Simcoe County residents will be represented by a warden they didn't elect, appointed by the province and given powers similar to Ontario's strong mayors. This month, Ontario proposed a sweeping overhaul of regional governance. Bill 100, officially called the Better Regional Governance Act 2026, would significantly reshape how upper-tier municipalities across Ontario are run. For Simcoe County, the bill would shrink council from 32 members to 17, 16 mayors from each of the county's member municipalities, plus a full-time warden appointed by the province, not elected by council. Right now, that warden is chosen by the 32 sitting councillors themselves, a tradition that dates back to 1846. Bill 100 would end that. The legislation would also expand weighted voting, shifting more influence towards larger, faster-growing municipalities. It will also grant the appointed warden so-called strong chair powers, modeled on the strong mayor powers the province rolled out in 2022. Under those rules, it takes a two-thirds vote of council to override the chair. At the recent Simcoe County Committee meeting, the reaction from councillors was sharp, and they raised alarm about the erosion of local democracy, the risk of an outsider running a county they don't understand, and a provincial government they say has stopped listening.
In the last 5 years, I have seen an erosion of democracy. I feel that, I'll be honest, I feel that the province has got out of their lane and into our lane.
Wasaga Beach Mayor Brian Smith, a self-described supporter of the Ford government, said he cannot accept an appointed chair who may know nothing about Simcoe County's farms, tourism economy, or 16 distinct communities. Innisfil Mayor Lynn Dollin tried to find middle ground. If the province insists on appointing, she argued, the appointee should at least have governance experience and lived experience in Simcoe County. Warden Bussell Clark, who would be directly affected by the change, questioned how any appointed warden could credibly lead a council they did not choose. He confirmed other Ontario counties are raising the same concerns.
We need to focus on what's different about Simcoe County. We are 16 municipalities. And yeah, it's great you got a warden that can work with the province. Can the province choose a warden that can represent 16 different municipalities? And our current bylaw requires that it's 50% plus one. So, you must have at least 50% of the House support to sit in this chair.
In the end, Council voted unanimously to push back. The warden will write to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, asking the province to let County Council select its own warden and warning that strong chair powers combined with an appointee could hand one unelected person control over a region of more than 500,000 people. Here is what councillors said, what Bill 100 actually does, and the regulatory change hiding in the fine print.
Okay, moving on. Comments or questions on 2026-126 Head of Council composition update. Start off with Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Chair.
You want to pass the first one first? Okay. All right, why don't we pass the first one first, the original motion, Councillor McDonald, and we'll come back to you, and then we can deal with the two other potential motion items, being appointed chair and strong mayor chair, warden powers, whatever they may be. Okay, good. The motion is, pardon me, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? For information, Councillor Fryer and Councillor Judith Cox. Thank you very much. That the following consent items, having been given due consideration, be received. With the exception of 11.2 with regards to appointed chair and strong chair powers. Correct, clerk? Okay, great. Those in favor? Those opposed? Thank you very much. Motion is carried. Moving on now. Shall we, Chair, do you want to deal with each one individually? Would that make it clear for you?
Open
Warden?
to the floor.
You want to open her up, let her go? Okay, Councillor McDonald, head us off, please.
Thank you, Chair Evans.
Councillor Fryer.
I don't believe I'm the only one in this House that just has concerns, respectfully, of what has been put into that bill. And so I did a lot of just researching, trying to figure out where they were coming from and why this would somewhat happen. So excuse me. So what they have felt that was the pros of bringing this forward as for an appointed a warden and the actually the mayor's power chair, or pardon me, the chair's powers. So they would like to have this is not me speaking, this is what I've just heard from different parts and put it together from the government, not from ourselves. They want a centralized oversight. Provincial appointments can ensure alignment with provincial policies, priorities, and standard across the counties. I believe that we have that already, but this is what they're saying this would do. They also said consistency and uniformly appointed wardens can promote consistent service delivery bylaws, implementation and administrative procedures between the counties, which we already do. Also, the professionalism, the province may, select candidates based on the qualifications, merit, rising administrative compensation where they believe that our talent is that we're smaller, like we have many 16 municipalities, 2 separated cities, that our talent wouldn't be as large as what they're going to pick from. I've been on 16 years for the county, and I believe that each warden has brought many gifts and has done a great job partnering and working with the province. So I did, and then they figured that there's faster decision making when the province can fill the leadership vacancy quickly, avoiding local council delays, deadline, or deadlock, or political infighting. I believe that in most cases of what we have been doing is completely the opposite. We try to debate it, we try to bring everything to the table, and then we go away with what is the best educated answers. And so then the cons of it, excuse me just 1 second here. The cons that I believe and that we will be looking at would be reduced local democratic legitimacy. Residents and their elected councillors may view an appointed warden as less accountable to local voters and their priorities, not living or being any part, may not be a part of this area. We could have them from any part of Ontario. It doesn't mean that we're going to have them where they have lived and worked and been a part of the county of Simcoe. So that's concerning. Also, erosion of local autonomy. Provincial appointments can undermine municipal self-government and the council's ability to choose leadership that reflects community preferences. Also, a risk of polarization. So the appointments can become vehicles for the provincial political patronage to exert political control over local matters, which I think if we look into our own municipalities when they were offered, or given, not offered, the mayor's powers, we've seen a lot of red flags that came up in that. So just having someone that sits in the warden's chair that could also downplay every single thing that comes forward in our own local councils, and also sitting here at the county. The other one was that, just a second here, I'm just going to make sure I get to. Okay. Also, that there be a mismatch with local needs. A provincially appointed warden may have local knowledge and understandings of activity and specific issues, in most cases coming from another one, which just relies back onto that same one, that they wouldn't have that. Also, weaken council cohesion. Councillors may feel sidelined, reducing cooperation between the warden and the council and harming government's effectiveness. We have a very good way of doing through our governance, and it's worked so well for all the years that I've been here. The governance has taken things. We might not get the answers that we like at the end of the day, but they did the right thing, and that's the main thing, that we do the best that we can for the county. And then the provincial appointment is considered weight legal frames. There's also checks and balances, tenure, recall, clear performance criteria mechanisms for local input and transparency to mitigate these and downsides. And also the persistence of local stakeholders may resist decisions made in by an appointee, leading to conflict, lower trust, and potential legal political challenges. So I just hope that together as one, that we come together in this House to have a letter at least sent stating our concerns. Because if we don't do our concerns, then it looks like we're okay with everything that's going to happen. And this is just the first part of something that could happen. We're not saying what the government's doing, and they may have their reasons. But I think that the biggest one that we'll have a chance at probably is having the power of the chair. They seem to have. I've talked to our MPP, and I'm sure and others have talked to it. They seem to be in favor of an appointed warden, but are not really loud on the powers of the chair. I think that we should have all the information that they know of how they're going to implement if it was an appointment, so that we can actually work together with them to make sure that it is the best fit for the county of Simcoe. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Councillor MacLellan. That was good. Thank you very much. Moving on, Councillor Fryer.
Thank you, Chair Evans, and no need to repeat what Councillor MacDonald has covered. So I just wanted to say that the apparent appointment of the warden on the go-forward basis is the thing that troubles me the most as well. I know we put a plan together and put it forward to the province that I think is a very good plan. I do believe that now 16 representatives next term can elect the right person for the job for that 4-year period based on what they need to have done and what the persons can bring to the table. I also liked the way we had inserted the warden into the weighted vote system with the idea that I believe it's under the Elections Act that the warden would have to have a vote. We were looking at inserting the warden using, I believe, the minimum amount of what is weighted to one of the municipalities. And I'd echo as well that I do believe we should issue something to the province. I know, Warden Clark, I know you'll be working with the province and talking to them, but I'd like to see us put something formally together to put support to your endeavors in that regard. And I'll listen to the rest of the House and decide from there on how we proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fryer. I appreciate that. And just to review, just so if you haven't missed, the warden did put out a letter on Friday. 3 main points, if I can encapsulate them. One is that the bill is proposed, is not passed. That the legislation, as we know, does not exist yet, and the province is still consulting. So that's something that we should. I just wanted to make that clear, and just to reiterate, thank you what you said on Friday. So. Okay, moving forward, Councillor Gordon, then Councillor Dolan, and then Councillor MacLellan. Councillor Dolan, please, and then at the end, Councillor Lavoie. Thank you. Councillor Gordon.
Thank you, through your chair. I realize that province is consulting, but that a lot of that's just, that's just a word, right? Like this is going to happen. I don't think we're going to see this walked back. So I've kind of resigned myself to, I've been a support of the reduction of county council size because I didn't believe it was compatible with the increase in compensation. I didn't think the two could coexist, and I've said that. But we never proposed this appointment of a chair, let alone strong chair. We had a different plan, which the one I was hoping we would end up with is where we basically advertise the job and we hire somebody to be a non-voting head of council and be our advocate and lobby with the province, and that was more tangible and could probably. We may end up with a better person for the job than even if we appointed amongst ourselves, but that clearly the province has other ideas. This, in my mind, we can put letters in and complain all we want. This is going to happen. But what I really wanted to call to our attention is something that doesn't seem to be getting any media cycles and will impact a strong chair or strong warden, just as it impacts the strong mayors. And that right now, for the remaining 34 days, there's a proposed regulatory amendment on the regulatory registry, which is not a website most people visit, to update the strong mayor designation for election year rules. And I think this exposes a huge gap in the current strong mayor framework, which would impact a strong chair and strong warden as well. And I'm simply encouraging members here to promote this in their community and make sure you take the time to comment. As much as I think that commenting to a large degree is symbolic, I think they still do take the time to read and hear these things. And in this case, I think it's worthy of our support. And just to encapsulate, and rather than just, wing it here, I'm going to read one paragraph of what this is about and why I believe it's so important. Realizing that in the absence of this passing, the gap that I'm about to say they're trying to close exists right now. So the analysis of this regulatory impact is to clarify election year rules for designated municipalities by restricting outgoing heads of council from proposing the municipal budget for the year immediately following a regular municipal election, and by setting out restricted acts, which don't exist, for heads of council, especially the outgoing ones, and their additional powers and duties. This would restrict heads of council from appointing or removing the CAO, other municipal division heads, and if not already authorized in the municipal's budget, exercising their bylaw power to dispose of property valued over $50,000 or to authorize expenditures or liabilities over $50,000 if it can be determined that either 3/4 of the outgoing members of council will not be members of new council or that the outgoing head of council will not be the new head of council. So this is closing a gap that could stop a bitter, unelected mayor who wasn't successful in re-election from just destroying their municipality, firing whoever they want, hiring their buddies, incurring all the staggering costs that come with these HR changes, reorganizing the place, blowing money, setting the next council up for failure with a ridiculous budget that they propose because they can do that unilaterally. These are all things that, well, I guess we're a swing and a miss. The province never contemplated that in the strong mayor powers. And it's something that I and my administration have been talking about as a concern, and I even brought it to both the minister and the premier's attention through text, because I'll give the guys credit, they do answer, and they sent me the link to this. So it is something that is live right now. It is being contemplated. On my assumption, what's being contemplated is going to happen, but it still wouldn't hurt for folks to take the couple minutes to submit their voice of support or not on this change for the strong mayor powers, because it will also impact the strong chair and strong warden in the next cycle. So I think this is a really important one that's kind of slid under the radar. We don't see any media on it, and it really is deserving of support in my mind because it's a huge gap.
Thank you, Councillor Gordon. Appreciate that. I wonder if you could just restate that website again for those of us that have heard it for the first time.
Right. So it's called the Regulatory Registry.govanca, so .gov.on.ca, and the OREG number that you're going to search for, because there's a lot of stuff in there, is 530/22. So 530/22. This is like the ERO website, only it's not for development, it's for changes to their to the other legislation.
Applaud your investigatory skills in finding that. Thank you, sir. Okay, moving on. Councillor Dolan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I very much appreciate the comments from Councillor McDonald and Councillor Gordon. I'm not totally shocked that that was put forward, as that in Durham Region they appointed a chair and that seems to have worked, but in Niagara Falls not so much, or Niagara Region I should say. One of the other big question mark still is when Mr. Flack made the announcement, he said that the strong chair powers would mirror what the strong mayor powers are now, but it doesn't say it would be exactly the same. And I'm concerned about the 2/3 majority that can overrule the strong chair. While I share some of Councillor Gordon's dismay on, advocating and it not going anywhere, I still believe we should be advocating for democracy. I think without breaking any confidences, I can say at the MOU table, what seems to work best is when the province announces something they're going to do, we either say, great, go ahead, or really dumb idea. Or sometimes we say, really dumb idea, but if you insist on doing it anyway, make sure you do A, B, and C. And I think that's where we should go with this. I think we should go with don't like the idea of an appointed chair, but if you insist on going down this road, make sure it's someone who knows Simcoe County, who's lived in Simcoe County. Make sure it's somebody with, a certain amount of governance experience. Like, even I was chatting with the warden about this, even if we put forward like 6 names of people that we think would be good and let them pick one. But I think we should be pushing back and saying no. But if you insist, then please at least make this part of the criteria to have a person sit in that chair. And with that, then, Clerk, if I can, through you, Mr. Chair, ask for a amended recommendation to ask that the warden write a letter to the province and CC members of County Council asking to allow us to elect our head of council. And you can make this sound better than I'm going to make it sound, but notwithstanding, if they insist, please make sure it's somebody with experience in governance and somebody with lived experience in Simcoe County. And I'm sure there might be other people who want to add to that list of criteria, but those are the 2 that come to the top of my head. And I would ask for, if there's anybody who'd be willing to second that for me.
If seconder for the motion, Councillor MacLellan would like to second that motion. We have a number of people here still to speak. I suggest that. Sorry? Councillor Coggin, Deputy Warden Coggin.
Thank you. And maybe just to move things along, anticipating this, we did reach out to Clerk McGill and anticipated a draft. So he does have a draft of what we thought might be talked about this afternoon, just to kind of keep us on track. So I didn't know maybe if Clerk McGill wanted to share that with the House.
Thank you.
I wasn't aware of that, but maybe you could share that.
All right, it was in conversation with Councillor McDonald. So Councillor McDonald and I just emailed the clerk to be prepared for today.
Okay, well, why don't we give them a few minutes to pull that together? In the meantime, we can take, we've got some number of people still have comments. We're down to Councillor MacLellan, please.
Thank you, Chair. I do fully believe that members of council who represent residents should always be elected, but I think we're too far away from that now. To me, this reeks of provincial political control. Strong mayor's powers has resulted in very few new houses, but it sure has got a lot of CAOs fired with big payouts from the taxpayer. Democracy is dying, and this is what it looks like. This is the beginning. I don't think the province has any business appointing our head of council, and it's quite disturbing that all of this is happening. So I absolutely support everything Lynn said, and hopefully they listen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Lavoie.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm certain that the Ontario government is meant to thank each and every one of us for the work that we have done. I do want to say that I think serving in this chambers has been an honor, and it's I've learned a lot from each and every one of you. So I don't think we're the problem. I do want to say, though, that from our previous discussions, there were a couple of loose ends, and one of the more meaningful ones might be how these committees get filled in the future. And a good way to do that might be to use some of the now second-tier members by opening up whatever procedural bylaw would be allowed to do that. And the final point that I have is that strong chair powers and the weighted vote will result in 3 municipalities being able to pass a motion. So it's something to think about in terms of where the power might shift to within these chambers.
Thank you, Councillor Lavoie. I have the warden and then Councillor Measures.
Thank you.
And then I will let everybody have one round and speak, and then we can go back for a second.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had quite a discussion at this as Western Wardens as well, and they are sending a letter with the very similar concerns, because if it happens at Simcoe County, it's liable to happen at some of the other counties. I certainly understand why the province feels the need to make sure it's a warden they can work with all the potential growth that's coming this way, with the partnerships we have. Paramedics, we talked about at length this morning, social housing, long-term care, and the homeless strategy. I understand that, but I think we need to focus on what's different about Simcoe County. We are 16 municipalities. And yeah, it's great you got a warden that can work with the province. Can the province choose a warden that can represent 16 different municipalities? And our current bylaw requires that it's 50% plus one. So, you must have at least 50% of the House support to sit in this chair. And that's the concern I have going forward. And I said this at Western Wardens. I mean, if the minister came up here and the 16 mayors and ministers went in a boardroom and 4 hours later come out and said, this is the warden, I think the council could live with that, because you had an open dialogue and an open say. So, the devil really is in the details here on how they're going to go about appointing. I want to remind council, it still says may, that the minister may. So we need to strongly urge and show the differences. We're 16 very different municipalities. Very hard for them to appoint someone to work with that large, and we're still a large group, right? And that they really need to work with us on appointing the warden if they're bound and bent to go down that road. And with the strong warden powers, I don't even know how that vote's going to work. Is it a weighted vote? Is it a straightforward? Right now, what we said is governance issues or waiving the procedure bylaw. There is no weighted vote, right? If we want to waive the procedure bylaw for the day. So technically, overthrowing a warden's decision or strong mayor's decision would be waiving the procedure bylaw. It shouldn't be a weighted vote or is it? And these are the details that we really don't know. So definitely I have concerns with the strong warden powers. Absolutely. I don't, especially when appointed. So we definitely need to voice our concerns and encourage the province that they really need to sit down and work with us on this new position on how it lays out. It may be set in stone. Well, then what we'd ask for is it be delegated back to us, because it does say may. So my 2 cents worth.
Thank you, Your Worship. Moving on to Councillor Measures. Councillor Measures, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. This has all been very interesting. I'd like to go back, if you wouldn't mind, to a quick comment that Councillor Gordon said. Councillor Gordon, you said it's just going to happen. We already know that. It's not far from the truth. I think that is what's going to happen. But I do want to point out a couple things. Each person in this committee that sits in this room today and those that are joining us online as members are elected officials. Each of us are independent legislators. That's who we are. We are independent legislators. We do not have a political party system in place in our municipal worlds here in Ontario, which is thankful. As an upper tier government, our regions and counties exist simply to serve the needs of the lower tier municipalities and their responsibilities. As each of us know, our municipal act tells us that we're responsible for social services as municipal leaders. We're responsible for the partnership of paramedics as municipal leaders. But what has happened is we have developed this county so that it does provide a better service for all of us, which is why the motto of this county is the greater good. We're here to help solve problems. We're here to provide efficient and effective solutions and services that the citizens require and need. And that's the point of why we are elected officials. Each of us have one vote at the table on a general basis. This municipality, this upper tier, has this weighted vote system, which we've discussed and debated and amended and persuaded and done everything we could to make it work. The appointed heads of council, it does happen in other places across the globe. If you've done some research, I want you to know that a municipal mayor in China is appointed by the provincial government. A municipal mayor in Syria is appointed by the federal government. And here in Ontario, we are the only level at the county or region levels that have any type of appointed heads of council. We're the only level of government in Canada that has any type of appointed chair or appointed head that has a vote and then has or will have appointed powers. So this is highly unusual that this is the direction that we're going. When it was said earlier that democracy is how our country continues to exist underneath this this beautiful system of government that we have. And so I look forward to this people making their comments to the provincial government about this this bill and express their concern about democracy being damaged and injured across our region. And I also want to point out, of course, that this region here called Simcoe County is an agricultural region, very strong agricultural community, and very strong urban center. And the economics of our entire area are that we work with our neighboring areas. So we all know commuters who commute away from our county, who leave our county to go to work other places. We also know lots of people from away from our county who come here to recreate and to enjoy our county. So we have to find that balance and show that leadership is about democracy and supporting that and listening to the public. So this is a really good example of how we need to make sure that we get the word out to the public that they have to make that opportunity, they have to use that opportunity to put their comments forward. Mr. Chair, I do look forward to the time when we do have recommendations that are being brought forward, as you indicated that you didn't want to hear them today, but that's fine. I do look forward to that debate furthering here in the House. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Measures. Yes, certainly I look forward to a fulsome debate on all four of the topics that fall under, hopefully. We have an opportunity, this, if not today, on two of them. We'll move the other two to the next meeting. Next I have on the list is Councillor Greenlaw, and then Councillor Judith Cox. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair Evans. You know, I think everyone in this room is in support of speedy and efficient decisions after responsibly being discussed in the process of advancing the province's priorities, such as building homes faster. But my question is to the Warden and CAO Aikens. Has the province given examples of how and where county has burdened the flow of process in the past term?
CAO Aiken or Warden, who would like to take that one?
You go ahead, Mark. I don't recall any.
I'm not aware of any. I'd look to the general manager or even the director of planning if he's heard any, but I'm not aware of any.
And
Councillor Greenlaw.
Just a follow up. So I find the way we get better and we fix our inefficiencies or flaws is through communication. So if the province has not articulated this to us, how do we know what the problem is? And I think that's why many, if not all, members in this chamber are questioning the moves that maybe seemed a little more extreme than necessary. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Greenlaw. Councillor Judith Cox, please.
Thank you. I definitely agree with Councillor Dolan. I think we need to do some proactive suggestions. I think just putting our feet down and saying that no, and I like the idea of putting maybe some names forward or they give us names. Councillor Measures, thank you so much. That totally says what I wanted to say, the greater good. And the other one I threw, Councillor Greenlaw, I wasn't elected on council to build homes faster. I was elected on council to represent my constituents and to come here and represent all of Simcoe County. I have done it for many years. And in the last 5 years, I have seen an erosion of democracy. I feel that I'll be honest, I feel that the province has got out of their lane and into our lane. We're here to listen to our residents. We are the closest politicians to the people with no political party. And that's all we've ever wanted to do here. And for someone to say, your leader can, and I go back to the warden on this. I thought that somewhere in our bylaws it said that if you were the warden, you had to live in the county of Simcoe. But then I find out, well, they can change that bylaw if they want. I believe that Simcoe County is unique, and I believe that the whole point of rural and urban, and all I've been hearing from, I haven't heard from a lot of people, but the people who listen is what is going to happen to the rural areas if someone is appointed who doesn't understand the rural areas and the urban areas and the 2/3 majority. So I believe that we do need to speak up. I also believe that it's probably a done deal, but if we don't speak up and we look back and people say, you never said anything. You know, it's the old, if you don't speak up, really, do you have a right to complain about what the end result is? So I believe that we need to all, even if we go back to our councils and have our councils put forward motions, we need to do this just to let our MPPs know, because they're the ones that are down there, that how we feel and that we believe that we should be included in appointing or electing a warden. We've gone along with the other things. There's nothing we can do, but we have to make sure that who's ever in that chair doesn't have over strong chair and represents all of Simcoe County.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. Any other initial preliminary discussions? We have Councillor Brian Smith and then Councillor Keith Bell, and then and then what I'm going to do is let everybody speak first. We do have a motion that we'd like to bring up, and we can consider at that time. And then, Councillor McDonald, I believe you're a part of that, and Deputy Warden, you can speak to it at that time. Councillor Brian Smith, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, everybody, for the comments. I have my own thoughts and opinions on this. Some I will share today, and some I will wait until the time is right. But you know, I'm a big supporter of this provincial government. I think that they're doing some great things across this province. But you know, I don't mind saying I didn't support the reduction of this council. But it is what it is. And you know, we sent that. We asked them to make a decision for us, and they've done so. And so I respect that. But what I cannot live with is the province appointing the chair of this council, who may or may not be from Simcoe County, who may or may not have any history of Simcoe County, and what we have all worked for over several councils here to make what I would consider to be probably the best region in this province. It certainly is the largest county in the province. We are a county that has had I believe the biggest business transaction in this province ever, not too long ago. And we are a province that, a county that is very diverse. You know, we heard Chair Measures talk about it being agricultural, and I agree, but it is also industrial, and it is also tourism. It is a very, very diverse community. And 16 municipalities that make that up. I can't even bear to think what it would be or what could happen if a chair was appointed who didn't care about agriculture or who didn't care about tourism, and what that could mean with strong warden powers, especially if 2/3 couldn't overturn those powers. To this county that we have all worked so hard. The staff here for decades have worked so hard to make this area what it is and to work towards the greater good. And so I support a lot of what this province has done and is continuing to do. I vehemently do not support the province appointing a chair. However, as my friend Councillor Gordon has said, he thinks it's a done deal, and he's probably not too far off the mark, although I like to believe that they are listening and that they will continue to listen and that they will work to make the best decision that is best suited for this county. I think we do need to absolutely send a strong letter. And I think we do need to ask, although the county will be representing the 16 municipalities in that correspondence, I think it's also important that our individual municipalities, that we have this discussion at each of our individual municipalities as quickly as possible, and each and every municipality also send a strong letter. And I encourage you, Warden Clark, at the Western Wardens Conference, to encourage every other warden to do the same thing in their counties and with their municipalities. I believe wholeheartedly that this government will listen. But I can tell you they won't hear us if we don't speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Councillor Bell, please.
I will not waste the House time. I will echo everything he said. The only thing I wanted to address is maybe Chair Measures. The one comment you did make about China appointing somebody, I hope we're not going down that road. That's all. Thank you.
I think Chair Measures' comments were a little tongue-in-cheek, as we all know that difference in political systems is quite different. So we're certainly not going there. Any other comments, general comments with this? And if you have my indulgence, Councillor MacDonald, Dolan, and then the Deputy Warden, I'd like to ask the clerk to bring forward the motion that has been preliminary for discussion. If we could just, and then Councillor MacDonald, let's bring it up, and then we can have a kick-off discussion on that. Sorry, go ahead if you have any.
Thank you, Chair Evans. I just want, before anything was brought forward, just to clarify, my comments today that I brought forward were not heard, seen by anyone, only myself before I brought it to the House. And I don't know what's going to be up there. What I did do is when I heard this, I think my blood pressure was going up. And I did call the warden to say, how do I go forward with this? Because I don't want people to think that we made backward things, because there was nothing like that. So my biggest thing was for it to be able to speak to it, because it is a concern and there is a very short window for it. And also to make sure that if we can't do anything to Councillor Dolan's point, is that that someone from this House, whether it's on the governance or anything, sits on the board that makes those decisions with the province. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for clarifying that, and thank you for your concern. So, Clerk, please, if you could.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So I do have a resolution here, and I listened to the conversation, and I'll explain it in the hopes that it kind of hits the mark on where council is at currently. And you could certainly look to the mover and seconder, which at this point was identified as Councillor Dolan and Councillor MacLellan. The first part of the motion here is to receive the report. The second portion of the motion is that the warden write a letter in response to the regulatory posting and to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing to share the county's perspectives on Bill 100, the Better Regional Governance Act 2026. And there's kind of two key pieces here, I think, to this motion. The first here is council's preference that county council appoint its own warden. The second part of this is to Councillor Dolan's point, or that specific criteria is included should the minister choose to appoint. Secondly, I think there were some concerns expressed regarding the introduction of strong chair powers, and so that's there as well. And finally, to encourage further engagement and consultation with municipalities as the legislation is considered. And then I think this last piece around, as generally discussed at today's meeting, kind of gives the warden a little bit of flexibility to incorporate some of the other comments and points that came up as well. So at this point, Mr. Chair, I think you could look to the mover and seconder to see if this kind of fits their intent or if they have any changes at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Starting off with Chair Dolan, please.
Thank you. And just one friendly amendment, if under including council's strong preference that county council appoint its own warden. If that's okay with the seconder.
Councillor MacLellan, that's good with you.
And
Any
my only
further, Madam Chair?
Just if I could, just it's I believe the motion that the deputy warden had ready was almost identical to this one, so they're very close. So I think we're consistent as far as message is concerned.
Okay, thank you. I'll give Deputy Warden a quick comment. I've got, sorry, Councillor Measures, I've got two just in front. No problem. Councillor MacLellan, your concurrence or any additions? Okay, we're good. Councillor MacDonald, please, I want to give you the opportunity. I made inference earlier, so.
Thank you, Chair Evans. Just one other thing that we're elected, but we're elected by the people that live in all of our municipalities. That is where we're getting the pushback, asking about this. And that's how come I phoned the warden, because as soon as it was out, they wanted to know. And I think that I'm one of the blessed municipalities, along with Chair Evans, that we don't have mayor powers, because the first thing when that came out, they were all over that and said that's wrong and everything. So we need to go and make sure that our constituents know what this could make a difference in their in their world of their municipality, also with the county, because that is a bigger thing than 16 or 32 of us having a message. When we have the message of the people, I think that is very, very strong. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McDonald. Deputy Warden, I just want to get your input as we move forward before we get into general discussion.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. Most of the concerns I have already been shared. I do think that in the letter that we're sending, it's again asking to work with the province on this and to be included as changes do come to the county.
Thank you, Deputy Warden. Okay, for general discussion, we'll start with Chair Measures, then Chair Dolan, Councillor Fryer, and Councillor Anderson. And any additional is needed. You're okay? Okay. Chair Measures. Sorry.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I think this is a very good start and a good kickoff to this discussion, including the content of the letter that will be prepared by the warden if this passes. I also very much support the indication that we add the word strong preference at the county council. I do take a little exception though to the word appoint its own warden. I think we should have the word select its own warden, in the fact that the method of selecting or appointing or creating a warden's position has not been fully fleshed out, and by passing this, we're appointing or creating it as an appointment only. So I would ask that this House support a simple amendment there to change that to select.
Assume that's a friendly amendment.
I'm asking for a friendly, but I will make a motion if necessary.
That's fine. I'll consult.
I have no problem with that friendly amendment.
Councillor MacLellan, we're good. Okay. Thank you, Councillor Measures. Appreciate that. Moving on, Councillor Fryer and then Councillor Anderson.
Thank you, Chair. And I too like the amendment to insert the word strong. I don't think we can use it enough in relative to what's being thrown at us. In regards to the circulation, I wholeheartedly agree with Councillor Brian Smith. I do want to see this circulated to the municipalities, and I know it's not written in there, but I just wanted to add, we have a meeting next Monday, and if this could be issued in time for us to get it onto the consent agenda, I'd be really pleased with that, because I think it'll be another 2 weeks after that, and this is in that phase of 30 days. So in my opinion, if it can be circulated as soon as possible, that would be very helpful.
Thank you, Councillor Fryer. Totally agree. We'll work with Mr. Clerk to... Mr. Clerk?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. I think we can certainly circulate it. It would be with the understanding, though, that anything passed today is a recommendation from Committee of the Whole to be debated by County Council on April 28th. So it can certainly be circulated informally as, here's what the county is contemplating at this point, but it won't be a final decision of County Council.
So we may have to do it in the announcement section.
Follow up.
Councillor Fryer, please.
Then I'm fine. I understand what the clerk's just pointed out. I don't see any benefit to circulating it early. It needs to get through that formal stage, and I understand that. Thank you.
Perhaps even just including in a Bill 100 informational item on your agenda, which is something I'll be proposing for our meeting next Wednesday as well. So either way, it does bring it to the floor for consultation. We have Councillor Anderson and then Councillor Judith Cox.
Thank you, through the chair. It's been stated here clearly today from the majority speakers that there is a desire to see a warden selected from within Simcoe County. And I do believe we should include that as well in the resolution, although it would be captured in a letter from the warden. I think it would serve to give a reason as to why the council is strongly suggesting that it's selected its own warden, that it be representative of the residents of Simcoe County. And I would like to add that to the motion if the mover and seconder would allow it.
Friendly amendment, Chair Dolan?
Yeah, I can accept that friendly amendment as well.
Councillor MacLellan? Thank you very much. Thank you, Councillor Anderson. Appreciate that. Councillor Judith Cox.
And if we pass this, which I'm sure it will be unanimously, that should also be included that it was unanimous. The only, no offense, when we write motions like this, they're not clearly, because I think the clerk said, this isn't one, this is two, this is this. So I don't understand why we can't just have a bullet or something that says, council strong preference, it select its own warden. Next one is specific. So it's very clearly stated. It's not rolling along in a paragraph so that people can clearly see what we have stated. Because sometimes that gets lost in that. And I'm only asking because the public are going to be reading this, and I think it should be clearly stated that this is one, don't have to say one, but it's clearly a paragraph that council strong preference, specific criteria, those ones should be out so they can read them and see them. And we have a council meeting tomorrow, and this is on the agenda, so I will be saying it's an informal motion that has gone through, but I will take it back to our council tomorrow because we won't meet for another 2 weeks. That's just a suggestion to make it clear for the public, which we should tend to do.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Judith Cox. Succinct and more direct, I think, was the trend there. Mr. Clerk.
Yeah, thanks. If I could just go back to the friendly amendment there suggested by Councillor Anderson. So I think what might be most appropriate to specify kind of the eligible elect from within an eligible elector within the county. I would say, including council's strong preference that county council select its own warden from among eligible electors in the county. And I'd look to the mover and seconder to see if that's a friendly amendment.
Chair Dolan.
Thank you. The only thing I would change then, Clerk McGill, is instead of or, I'd put an and. Okay. So that among eligible electors in the county and that specific criteria is included. Does that make sense?
Seeing nodding heads from the mover and the seconder. Any comments on that, Chair or Council? Okay, I think we're good to move forward on that. Mr. Clerk, did you have any other questions? Good with that? Okay, Warden?
Yeah, just very quickly, we'll get the letter out, but I will still be working with the ministry on this because it is my strong opinion. It's very much the same as yours, that to me, it's critical that we choose our own. But even if the province found that individual that they could work with and the House could work with, how well would you be received? Being appointed as opposed to elected by this House. So I think it's critical that they work with us on this, and I have faith in them that they will be open-minded.
Thank you, Warden. Councillor Fire, then Councillor Cabral.
Thank you, Chair Evans, and the indulgence of Council here. Procedurally, can we pass this today? I'm the clerk shaking his head no. So,
Mr. Clerk,
I never. We can do that at our own municipal level, but I guess there's no procedural way to do it here.
Mr. Clerk.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So council meetings concluded today. We're in committee of the whole, aside from holding some sort of special emergency meeting, which that could be council's or the warden's prerogative. But I think, allowing the sort of 2-week period here to then debate it again at council is how we typically deal with recommendations like this. And I think, it's a short timeline, but it still allows us and the warden to put some of this into words and meet that May 2nd deadline for comments.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. It does, maintain our procedural integrity. And at the same time, if it's in announcements, we can discuss it on Monday or Wednesday next week. So, okay, moving on. Councillor Cabral.
Thank you, Chair Evans. Agree with everything that's being said, but the one point I kind of thought might be interesting to include possibly in the letter is a reference to the historical nature of the warden's position. Since looks like 1846, William Armson from West Gwillimbury Township was the first selected warden from within county council. So I think that's an important piece just for the government to understand that this is more than just a change. It's a historical and traditional change too. So just the only comment there is I think it reflects back on where this council came from, what it's done, what it's accomplished, and where it could go in the future.
Thank you, Councillor Cabral, for consideration. perhaps something that's used more in background, but certainly a valid point. Chair Dolan, any comments on that? No? Okay.
Well,
please.
If I could, so the motion does cover things that are generally discussed at this meeting. So I don't think it has to actually be in the body of the motion.
Procedurally, no. Yeah. Okay. Moving on, I have Councillor Miskimins.
Thank you, through you, Chair. One of the nice things about our own system, and it's all within our procedure bylaw, and I think the clerk kind of intimated it in the report, is should the province decide to appoint a warden to the county, what's the recourse if it's not working out? In this House currently, we have elections every 2 years for the warden. Has that been considered, or should that be considered? Because when it is an appointee, we members of the House all have an obligation to those that elected us. And if it's not working out and we have demand for change, what's our recourse? And I don't know if that's been considered by the province or whether that needs to be part of the general discussions that that Warden Clark will be having with the appropriate ministries. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Certainly something that will be included moving forward. But okay, I want to make sure everybody, obviously, huge topic, and I appreciate everybody's comments. This has been, as Councillor Lavoie has mentioned earlier, a great example of how very disparate communities can work together and create something, frankly, out of nothing that represents the wishes and desires and futures of our communities. This is something that I personally very much enjoy, and so should the taxpayers of Simcoe County. And I applaud you all for your efforts today. Before we vote on the motion, are there any further comments? Okay, Mr. Clerk, I'll take the motion. Moved by Councillor Dolan, seconded by Councillor MacLellan. Motion is that item CCW 2026-126 dated April 14th, 2026 regarding head of council and council composition update, introduction of Provincial Bill 100, Better Regional Governance Act 2026 be received, and that the warden write a letter in response to the regulatory posting and to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing to share the county's perspectives on Bill 100, the Better Regional Governance Act 2026, including council's strong preference that county council select its own warden from among eligible electors in the county, and that specific criteria is included should the minister choose to appoint its concerns regarding the introduction of strong chair powers and to encourage further engagement and consultation with municipalities as the legislation is considered as generally discussed at the April 14th, 2026 Committee of the Whole meeting. Any further comments before vote? Those in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you very much.
For Simcoe Community Media, I am Deepak Bidwai. This story was supported by the Local Journalism Initiative.